today. We've got an incredible show today. First of all, I'm going to be introducing you to an old friend of ours here at the show, and not old friend. I'm not calling her old. I just, you know her here on the show. My co-host today, as I've mentioned, has been with me from the get-go on this show through season 1, season 2, season 3, and all of the changes that have been made for season 4. I'm really excited to welcome back my friend and declutter coach and consultant, Heather Clark, to the show.
Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice. And what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Heather, thank you for being my little co-host today.
You mean your old co-host? I was like, does she realize she's just slightly older than I am? But, it's okay. I won't push that.
We're not going to talk about that right now. Somebody said that to me recently, something about being, it said, oh, this is my old friend. And I'm like, really?
You're like, really? I'm not there yet. Thank you.
I know.
Okay. And of course, how many times do our kids call us that? Really? Yeah. My son all the time. I'm just like, dude, you just wait. I said, I remember when I was your age thinking this was old. And I'm like, oh, you know nothing.
Yeah. How many times do we experience that where as we've gotten older, we think back to times when we thought what we knew what old was. And now we're like, oh man, I was dumb.
You're like, oh, awkward. Now I'm that age and beyond. And I'm not old. I'm like, so yeah. But and well, the thing too is being old has changed since we were young too. So
yeah, true. Well, I wanted to have Heather on today to talk about shifts and changes in our business. So for our hot topic today, I want you to ask yourself if there's ever been something that you've been through, and maybe some of you have been through this fairly recently, more recently than some of us would like to realize or admit even. If there's been things going on around you or things going on personally, and all of a sudden everything in your life changes, and that means your business has to change as well. So that's what I want to talk about for Hot Topics today. And I love that this is what we're going to talk about, because this is why you were on the show to begin with. Your very first episode on the Breakthrough Show was called Fired to Free. So this is something you know something about.
I know something about, not just back then, which was about 5 years ago, give or take. But I went through the same cycle just not too long ago. In a different sense and in a different time, obviously. But yeah, no, it is definitely something that takes you for a spin. Let me tell you that. But in the sense of I'm at a totally different time in my life now.
Yeah.
Like the me I was 5 years ago when that happened, and that like threw me off my course completely, and yet put me on a closer course to where I was, eventually ending up today. And then when this last one happened not too long ago, being laid off and stuff like that, it's again threw me for a course where I was like, okay, I see a similar situation here. Now, what did I do? And it's funny because the me now and the me back then freaked out, like completely freaked out. Oh my God, what's going on? I don't know what the heck's, this, that, whatever. And it took me a while to like get back up on my feet. This time I'm like, it almost felt like I tripped. And I was like, oh, what happened there?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't expected per se, because of the fact, like, where I worked and stuff like that. Like I was like, okay, I could feel the hours going, and I could feel, things, and then it happened. It still became as a surprise, but I was like, okay, what do I need to do next? What is my next step? And right. I knew, I was like, okay, so now you have the time. Clearly back then we were all in immediate quarantine and this, that, all that stuff. And it was a craze and everything. But I was like, what can I do? people need this more than ever. And the fact that I'm going through this again, I was like, all right, transitions, we got this. We got this. We know how to deal with this. We've had a few of these.
Yeah. I love what you're saying though, of it being recognizing that you're in a different place now, because that's something that I recognize with myself as well. One of the things that I'm remembering is, well, I don't know if you noticed this as well, but anytime I've lost my job, it's been like, it feels like honestly just like a shitstorm going on around. Like it's like kind of when it rains it pours kind of feeling, like there's a lot going on at once, whether it's with me personally or in the world around us. And I remember when I got fired from my job, it was right after I had left my ex-husband and had gone into the domestic violence shelter. And so like I had left him, I'd gone into the shelter, and then I got fired, and I'm like, really?
You're like, really?
Really?
Right, this is happening right now?
Yeah. And I just remember it feeling like it was literally the end of the world then. But I was in a very different place emotionally. And
as was I, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the kind of, I feel like, personal development skills that I have now. And so now it's funny with everything that we've gone through in the last several weeks and months here, it's like, I'm just rolling with it.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because like, even when it happened, I was like, should I be more upset about this? Like, should I? And of course I was talking to a few people, and I'm like, I feel like, am I in a daze? Like, am I not accepting this? And they're like, no, you're just knowing that this is obviously for the higher good. This is
Right.
for your best interest. This is for something like, cause at the time the kids were off and this, that, or whatever. And like had just got off, and it was like, okay, what are we doing? And it's like, I guess this is what we're doing. Thanks, universe.
Yeah.
It's like, and it was just one of those things. And I was like, okay, what is my next step? My next step is showing people how to go through this, that it's okay, that this too shall pass, that, with every storm, where did I read it? With every storm, the things that aren't rooted leave us.
Yeah. Very
and
true.
That's why it's so important for us to get those relationships rooted, to get ourselves rooted, our spirituality rooted, everything about us rooted, so that when those storms do come, okay, yeah, we're going to feel it. We're going to, shake a bit here and there and stuff. But for the most part, we're going to be okay. It too shall pass. Every storm does pass.
Right. I mean, honestly, there's nothing guaranteed in the world. Even if you were to have signed some kind of thing saying that your job is secure for X amount of time, that doesn't mean that there would never be outside forces that could change that. And so really it all comes down to that, it being all about how we respond to things and understanding the level of control that we have. I think, so that something really interesting has come up as we've dealt with the things we have in the world over the last couple of months. And that's that there's a lot of people who notice that something is needed, and they'll pivot what they're doing, or they'll pivot the track of their business, which I think is good to a point. But I want to ask you about this because it's something that has sort of been on my mind and I have my own thoughts about, but let's bring somebody else's thoughts into it. There's people that have shifted into doing something that is outside of their expertise, outside of what they're known for, outside of what they do in general, just because they feel like it's needed right now, instead of saying, hey, like, I know 6 other people that do this, and referring them there. Like, how do you feel about that? I've seen it going on. I don't know if you have.
Well, I've seen it definitely going on where there's like, so all of a sudden, the person, then all of a sudden, what happened has changed them to being this. And you're just like, whoa, there's more confusion here. Like, what? How do you know this? Like, how did you build that know, like, and trust to be able to do that, to be able to switch to that? So it's kind of like, it's funny because I never, like, in all of these times that I've done it, I've gone, like, with my business online, I've gone, from organizing to decluttering. That was my big shift, but it really wasn't that big of a shift. considering the fact that it's in the same spectrum. But I've seen where people have gone from, okay, I'm going to teach you about, I can't even think about things right now. I'm like, I can't even think, but I'm going to teach you about decorating your home. And now all of a sudden I'm teaching you about your money, or I'm going to teach you about this. And then now all of a sudden I'm going to teach you about, you know, separations, and I'm like, whoa. Like, I get that there's a lot, and you know, you teach by what you know, and you teach by your experience, and you know, people say you just have to be that one step ahead of somebody. Yes, but I'm going to put a little bit of a bigger but on that. You also entered some, like when people enter into a space that is not so well known to them, with people who are also still working on fear-based decisions and fear, whatever. Are you leading them properly? Are you being the leader that they need? Or should you send them to, like you said, leaders that have been doing that for X amount of time, like a year, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, whatever, and go, hey, I can help you with this. However, I know somebody that's been in this for a lot longer. They've led this industry with their expertise and stuff like that. Go see them.
Right.
Why are we not doing that as it is?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really does, especially in times when things are unsure globally, when we're going through something together, that referring people to other people makes that togetherness happen on a deeper level. And when someone refers me, it makes me want to speak out more for them as well, and saying, hey, like, go to them. Like, look, you and I have been working together for long enough that I feel there's days when I feel like, hey, you know, if someone that I love came to me and not wanted to know how to declutter something, I could probably spout off something that you told me, but that's not an integrity for me. For me, it's saying, hey, like, you need to go hook up with my girl Heather, because she's going to tell you the right way to do that. And plus that takes burden off of me too, because I get why some people are doing this, because it's like the fixer mentality, wanting to help, wanting to save the world, like some of us do. But how much of a burden are you taking on by trying to do it all, instead of saying, hey, she can help you over there?
Oh yeah, like, and then that's the thing. Like, so for me, it's, yeah, I'm all about the clutter. I'm all about the mental, emotional, and physical clutter. However, if there's, let's say, the mental part, if there's something more serious going on, I am not. Yes, I've been through it for me personally, and I know what I am capable of. I know what I can do. But if there's something more serious, I know people that I have sent people to. Yeah. It's like, listen, you think before we do this on a physical level, this needs to, you know, work on this level. And I know exactly who you can go to, because they are the best at what they do.
Right.
And this is their thing, because that's just, it's for me, like, for the fact of being around for, you know, the online space for a few years, I've gotten to know a lot of people and what they do, and knowing me, where I know, like, and trust them myself. I would trust them with my kids, and I would trust them, you know, those are the people I'm going to send them to. Because those are the people that I'm like, no, I've known them for a while. I've talked to them. My kids have talked to them, or whoever. And it's like, I trust them. Whereas when you're first starting out and you go, oh, that person's now a mindset coach, but they were just doing kitchen renovations earlier. Like, whoa. Yeah. The mind is something that is very touchy to work on. I don't do the mindset part of it in the sense of, we're going to go dive deep, but I know someone who can. Someone's, I should say.
Yeah, I think it can get very, like, what I think overall what's happening when people have to, when things change in someone's business, there is a level, and it could be any kind of level. It could be very low depending on where you're at personally, spiritually. It could be extremely high if you're a high anxiety person, of a panic of some sort setting in, right? Because we have bills to pay. A lot of us have kids to take care of. Maybe we have a house payment. Maybe we have things that could be repossessed. Maybe there's worries that we have. So this panic sets in. And really, for me, that watching people's response to that panic is so interesting, because you see people that immediately will go to scarcity, and they pivot their business, and now they're all of a sudden they're doing things that they don't normally do, just trying to make up for the money that hasn't even gone anywhere yet. And, and, you know, they start freaking out. And then you have the other people that are just like, it's business as usual. We'll just kind of roll with it, you know, but that panic that sets in, I think that that's something that everybody can take to heart and think about as we've been in changing times recently, as things come up in your life, that things happen all the time, right? And just keeping in mind, like, okay, we may be a lot better off if we just hold steady and take a breath. And sometimes for the declutter coach here, sometimes empty space is not a bad thing.
Oh, no. Empty space is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Energetically speaking and physically speaking.
Yeah. I mean, that was the hardest thing for me with decluttering was when you clean something off, I'm like, but it's empty. What do I do
comfortable with you do nothing and it be okay with that and getting comfortable with that. And I think that's the issue with, you know, is going on, is the fact that people aren't comfortable with new.
Right.
They aren't comfortable with change. And
or time. Or themselves, time, yes. Maybe they're not comfortable with their family. Let's talk.
All right. Well, listen. I'm sure that is one of the things, and that unfortunately, you know, that has changed a few things around. But that's the thing. And a lot of people, like, change is the only constant. So this isn't going to be the only change we go through. Like, we go through a lot.
Absolutely.
All the time. It's just we need to now be intentional. Isn't that your word for this year? Intentional? Yes. We need to be intentional with the way we think, act, and what we do. Like, yeah.
It's time to just slow down, I think, sometimes. Let's think about when changes happen in our lives or around us and our businesses start to change, to really think about it. And I know that you can get anxious when you've got bills to pay and people to take care of and all of that. I get that completely. I've been there. But we have to slow down and take a breath and say, realistically, what can we do right now? What is in our control right now?
What is in alignment with me? Not what's in alignment of what's going out externally. What do this is where, like, you know, we were brought in to go inside for a reason. Before, like, you need to go inside, figure out what you want, what is aligned with you. If that new switch on that business isn't actually something you're like, oh, this is great, I'm just gonna do it for the, you know, quick cash or whatever, that's not gonna work. That's not aligned with you. You're gonna resent it. You're gonna, you know, eventually it's going to not be what you want, and you're not gonna give it your heart and soul.
Right. So. I think a great rule of thumb and a great practice for people would be like, listen, something's going on around you and things are changing in your business and you've got all these great ideas coming of what you should do a little poll on social media first and ask your friends if anybody's already doing that. And it doesn't mean to say that there can't be multiple people doing similar things, but if you feel like it's something in your wheelhouse, see what the market's like already. Ask them what they're doing, and if it's something that, you know, maybe you could even work together on something instead
collaborations. This year is for the year of collaborations.
Yes.
Guarantee it. Yes.
Yep. It's so funny because I've thought about that a lot as I think about my intuitive outlook for 2020. And that was a huge message from that outlook, was how we're going to have to come together and reach across the aisle and do things. I'm just saying.
just saying. We say it here right on the breakthrough right now. Collaboration. Okay.
That's it.
Find that person that can do that thing that you think you want to do, but you're not the expert at it, and go find them and go collaborate with them.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you can find something that the 2 of you, the 3 of you, the 8 of you can collaborate on and move forward and be better for everyone in the collective.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this little hot topic spot with me on the show today. Always good to have another opinion other than my own. I just, nobody wants to just hear me talk about it.
See, collaboration, people.
Yes. Yes. See, we are a good example of that. Thank you so much for being here today, Heather.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com. And be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place for another inspiring episode.